Good evening, and welcome to NBC Nightly News. It's Wednesday, January 2nd, 1957. I'm Keiki Cardenas. Tonight we have breaking news coming to us live from Japan. Our field reporter Annie Silk is reporting live in Minamata. Annie, tell us about the situation there.
Hi Keiki, I'm here in Minamata, a sleepy fishing town on the western coast of Japan's most southern island, Kyushu. Here in the most unassuming of places, the absurd has been occurring for over the past few years. It all started about 3 years ago when residents began noticing cats acting strangely. Reports came flooding in of cats dancing in the streets and of others collapsing or falling to their death in the bay. In fact, these events became so frequent that residents darkly dubbed them cat suicides. The aviary population, it seems, was not immune to this strange turn in behavior. Many birds were seen falling from the sky, apparently dead. At the end of last year, people even began to notice a large population of fish floating on the surface of the bay. Scarier still, humans have proven to be susceptible to this type of absurd behavior as well. In 1954, the sanitation office in Minamata received its first reports of people afflicted with a condition that resembled epilepsy. However, health officials could not identify this strange and terrifying disease, and so the victims were isolated in order to prevent their further spreading. Quarantine, however, proved to be ineffective as more and more people became afflicted with the disease. People took to calling this new condition the cat's dancing disease, because the trembling and twitching of the human victims closely resembled the behavior of the cat population. In 1956, the disease became epidemic, with as many as 100 new cases identified, and as many as 20 of whom dead as a direct result of the severe damage to the nervous system caused by this disease. At the end of last year, science made an important discovery in this mysterious case. Japanese medical researchers discovered that this disease was a form of acute metal poisoning caused by eating the fish from Minamata Bay, the main source of food for the inhabitants of Minamata. For now, investigators have yet to discover the cause for the toxicity in the bay's fish, but they remain hopeful that they can find the source and save Minamata from the grips of this horrifying disease. I'm Annie Silk.
We'll keep you posted with updates on this tragic story. That's it for today's Nightly News. I'm Keiki Cardenas. Have a good night. Good evening, and welcome to BBC Nightly News. It's Monday, October 6th, 1997. I'm Keiki Cardenas. This evening we have the happy ending to a tragic story that began 40 years ago in Minamata, Japan. This year, after 14 years devoted to cleanup and $359 million spent towards the effort, the Japanese government finished its goal of cleaning the mercury-contaminated sludge from Minamata Bay. The disease caused by this mercury wreaked havoc on the relatively closed ecosystem of Minamata. As the water was contaminated, fish, crustaceans, and fauna populations all suffered. Now, after the local government's requested voluntary ban of all seafood caught in the bay, coupled with the cleanup efforts, native wildlife is finally beginning to restore itself. On a human scale, over 10,000 people have been verified as disabled as a result of this tragic affliction, and at least 3,000 people have died. However, in order to negate more scandal, the government is hesitant to verify cases, and so 3,000 more people wait to be verified right now. The extent of the disease's effects, however, is yet unknown, as recently children born in the area have been afflicted with the disease, exhibiting symptoms that resemble cerebral palsy. The severe loss in motor skills, acute neurological damage, trembling, uncontrollable actions and speech that are all symptoms of Minamata disease are all telltale signs of mercury poisoning. In 1959, researchers determined that the pollution in the bay was from the mercury, but they did not determine the source of the mercury for several more years. It wasn't until 1968 that the Tokyo government acknowledged Chiso, a plastic manufacturing company, as responsible for the water's mercury content. Chiso constructed its factory in Minamata in 1908 and soon became the town's foremost industry. In its production of plastic, the company dumped the waste product, mercury, into the bay. Over time, it is estimated that Chiso dumped a total of 27 tons of mercury into the bay. During this time, the possible ramifications of this pollution were unknown, so the company was permitted to continue to do so, while paying small indemnities to local fishermen. However, when the company legally accepted responsibility for the crisis in 1973, they paid a lump sum of $32 million to a group of victims of the disease. Other victims, however, have chosen to sue the company individually. Altogether, $611 million has been paid in victim compensation. Ultimately, Chisso stopped the mercury-yielding form of production in 1968 when an alternative method was created. The location where Chisso used to dump waste mercury has since been filled in and created into a memorial garden. Aside from leaving a burden on the community, psychologically as well as medically, the garden and the legacy of the event as a whole serve as a lesson in environmental awareness. Having completed the cleanup of the bay, Minamata now looks forward to a more environmentally conscious future.